friends, for everybody that's joining us today. We're going to try to find a little bit of a technical problem that we're having with Bobby's audio. But while we do that, we have some really fun stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Really, it's the events of 2024, and looking back, just kind of seeing, hey, what was the great stuff? What was maybe some of the not great stuff, and that's cool too. But really reflecting back on 2024, trying to see what we can take into the next fundraising cycle into 2025, and pull some great stuff from those events. You know, one thing, I'll just kind of introduce myself. I'm Dusty Klink. I'm with Call to Auction. I'm an auctioneer. I've been working with Bobby D here for the last few years, and it's absolutely fantastic to be able to meet up with a lot of these nonprofits and see the great stuff that's going on out there. But I started in the live world, live event world, as being a country singer. And so I started that back. My dream was to be a country singer, and that was great. I did it for about 10 years. I traveled throughout the Pacific Northwest, had a band, had a road crew, and we had a lot of fun. But something was definitely missing for me. We got to, do these big outdoor venues and this big stuff, but I needed something that had a little bit more heart to it. And I went to auction school. That's actually a thing, back in 2016. And that was a lot of fun. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, but I knew that I didn't want to sell cars or cattle or anything like that. So I ventured into the benefit auction world and got my benefit auction specialist from the National Auction Association. And it was great. Starting to meet some great people, and then here we are. Here in 2024, I got the opportunity to work with some incredible nonprofits. Had the opportunity to see, some of those live auction items that are working, and some of the live auction items that maybe they're not working. Maybe we need to move on to some other things. Also, getting some big questions out of some of these nonprofits as well that are saying, what about maybe not including silent auction, and as that is an option for somebody. Also, do we have to have a live auction? No, not really. And what's great is to start custom tailoring the different events for 2025 coming up and really making those something that is maybe just a little bit different. Also, we have some great stuff that we'll end up sharing a little bit later once Bobby can get back on here as to the great tips and tricks that were coming out of 2024. I want to see if we can get Bobby back in here. Bobby, are you there?
I'm here, Dusty.
All right, awesome.
Sorry about that, everyone. I think my computer's having a case of the Mondays. But
it's okay.
Hey, we made it work. And you know what? That's one of the things that I've really noticed here in 2024 is the pivot. There's been a lot of, evolution in the style of events. And there's many times that we have to make that quick pivot. And sometimes we've had some technologies that have worked great. Sometimes we've had some technologies work not so great, kind of like this today. But working with those nonprofits to be able to make that quick pivot on the fly has been a really great opportunity to be able to, again, switch that into a different focus. There's been some times where we've had, technical glitches like this happen, whether it's the thermometer that hasn't worked, maybe it's the microphones that haven't worked, maybe it's the light, the video, who knows? But being able to be there and make that quick pivot and having our clients trust us to make sure we're making the right decisions. Now, Dusty, I'm going to throw it back to you real quick. You had an opportunity where that did happen, and you did have to make a significant pivot pretty rapidly. Now I'm talking about our Arboretum client, and it was just it was a quick decision that you had to make. And let's just touch on that real quick.
Yeah, sure. Um, as things happen, challenges can happen, especially in the live event world. You know, being in the live arena of any kind of live events, you always have these things that can happen. Sometimes they can be a little disastrous. Sometimes they can be just a little minor. This one happened to be one that unfortunately affected a lot of their fundraising efforts, and that was a bummer. That was the biggest bummer of it. So we started out the evening. It was gorgeous. It was amazing, and everything was going great. I mean, it was one of those events that you look at and you go, how is it that the timeline, like, we are right on time every single second was almost just like, wow, this is amazing, wow, this is amazing. That speaker didn't go an extra 2 minutes. It was just perfect. And we did a live auction. We sold everything, and energy was just great in the room. It was fantastic. And then we had a short presentation between live auction, and we kept everything towards the end of the night. It was just the way that the function worked. And so all the fundraising towards the back end of the night. What ended up happening was there was a medical issue that ended up happening. At that point, the development team came up to me and said, hey, due to the situation, we have to pause the event. We paused the event. We thought we would be back in the swing of things fairly quickly. It ended up taking quite a long time to get that situation under control. It was an outside event. And it ended up in the Phoenix Valley area. What we had is the first cold day or cold night that we'd had all year. So nobody was really prepared for it. And all of a sudden it starts dropping. The temperature goes from, a nice 70 down to 5, 60, 55. We're down to about 50 degrees. It's 9 o'clock at night. Everybody's been paused for about 45 minutes. And dinner was served. Everything was done. And at this point, it was at the call of the client to say, hey, you know what? We're just going to close out the evening. Thank everyone for coming. And so we did. So we missed our largest fundraising opportunity, which was the battle race that night.
Yeah.
Which is horrible.
Definitely unfortunate. But there is, again, being able to make that flip on the fly. Good news, though, is when doing our wrap up with that client, they were able to reach out, email and text and phone calls, and we're able to recruit quite a bit of those dollars that we were trying to raise in that time. So there's that quick pivot that really happens. There was a opportunity that I did have at an event where we were utilizing the technology of thermometer, and everybody asked the questions about thermometer. Do we like thermometers? Do we not like thermometers? I'm not a fan because we're instant. Hey, let's see where we're at. And we had just raised $50,000 and we went to the and 523. Oh, okay. Obviously, technology is not working, so we're going to flip. We're going to move into something, move into a different style of presentation from that, and we move beyond. So it worked out really, really good. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the trends that we are seeing here in the world of fundraising events. Now, what we are seeing because of the now introduction of TikTok, of YouTube Shorts, of Instagram Reels, everyone's attention span is so shrinking. It's almost like a nanosecond right now. And if you've stuck with us this long, thank you, because I know you all have very short attention spans, as like we do. But it's also that time and that's that energy investment into each of these events and into each of these nonprofits, where donors are becoming a bit more strategic. They're becoming more savvy, and they're being more selective of the events that they're going to. And some of the trends that we are seeing is that the timelines are shrinking, where we would usually have the 4, 5, 6 hour gala event to where now it's moving into a much smaller element. Like last night I was working with an organization. They were having a fashion show, and the entire program was only 2 hours. And within the middle of the fashion show, we did have our live auction and we did our paddle race. Everything went great, but it was a shorter timeline. And we're seeing a lot of events across the nation going into what we're going to call the anti-gala, I guess you could say, to where it's not so much the old school here it is, silent auction, cocktail hour, big program, tons of honorees, entertainment, auction, paddle raise, and so many different elements that are built into that, to where it is a much smaller style event, where it could be 2 hours, it could be 2 hours, to where it comes in short, small connection networking hour. We're trying to push the cocktail hour verbiage away, because we're trying to be more inclusive, and we're trying to be more open to those that might not be in cocktails. And we're going to take the focus from what the cocktail hour is, and we're going to put it into the true connection hour. And within those connections, you have that networking opportunity there, where your guests are coming together. They're really, connecting with each other, human basis, versus like technology to technology basis, kind of like we are today, and really connecting that room, that community together. And one of the magic tricks that we've been seeing is incorporating the board members to be able to make those connections in that space, and really keep the conversations mission focused, keep that eye on the prize of what we're here to do. We're here to fundraise. We're really here to talk about all the great things that are happening with the organization, and really putting out that case for support. This is the need that we want to have. So networking, connection hour, that's a big component of that, 45, 60 minutes of that. And then a very short program, sometimes 15, sometimes 20 minutes is all the program that it really is. A particular example that we had hosted a few weeks ago at a private club in New York City with a very small audience, 35 people. I know, I can't believe it, but they still raised a lot of money in that very, very small amount of time. Our connection hour, and then we did have a 20-minute program. Short, this is why we're here. Short video. We did a very small auction. We only did 2 auction items. And then there was a testimonial speaker, went up. We did our paddle raise. Paddle raise happened, raised tens of thousands of dollars. And then there was a thank you by the founder. And it went to the post program connection hour, to where there was more mingling that was happening. There was more connections that were happening, and a celebration of the fundraising that just happened. And from that, it was really about 2 hours. And the audience and the donors that were there, they had a great experience, because again, it was a short amount of time. Started at 6, it was done by 8. They were still able to go out into the town, go get a late dinner, and still be able to enjoy their evening that they had. So that's kind of that anti-gala model. Now, there's some different models that we're also seeing as well too, and going away from just that standard gala model. Now, we've had some opportunities where we come in and completely change the entire program, and it can be the entire venue. It can be a bit more experiential. Now, Dusty, you gave us a great example with our friends at the Arboretum, to where they could have picked any venue. They could have picked a ballroom, they could have picked a hotel, they could have picked the event center, but they didn't. What did they pick, Dusty?
They picked the Arboretum, and it was perfect. And they transformed the Arboretum into something that was, really almost, I mean, way more beautiful than any ballroom that you can ever have, because you have that natural beauty that's all around there. And they brought in carpeting this year. It was like a turf style carpeting. They laid that all down so nobody got their shoes dirty. It was great. And then they ended up, putting these tables. That was gorgeous. And they had light strung everywhere. And it was really a beautiful, beautiful event. And, something that was, just going to that event was the event. That was a huge experience all on its own. Just walking down the path, it was the entryway. It was when you get into the event, it just kind of opens up. It was beautiful. They did an amazing job. And speaking about micro events a little bit, have you found that micro events are not only trending a little bit more, but also do you find them to be a little bit more donor focused, or more engagement for the people that are there, more connection? Do you feel that it's a condensed timeline, but it makes people condense, and also it makes people be a little bit more intentional? Are you finding that with your micro events?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're doing with these kind of micro events is we're looking at the ROI, that return on investment of so many different elements that are there. Looking at the return on investment of your dollars, number one, if you can have a smaller event and you don't need to have it in a giant ballroom or in your own space. Like I love events that are in their own space. You know, like the Arboretum's a perfect example. There's some museums. There's some other schools. Like we're working with some schools this year that are having their event in their gymnasium, and they're transforming the gymnasium and creating something that their guests had never seen. So it's the ROI and the dollars that they're investing within that, but it's also the ROI of the time of the team that they have, their staff, their volunteers, their leadership, their board members. There's a small amount of time that those are able to invest within that, and we are respecting their most valuable asset, your team's most valuable asset. What's the biggest ROI from that? Now, there is, I mean, gala burnout is real. And that is happening. A quick show of hands of all our guests that are out there that experience gala burnout. Yeah, it happens. So this is a great way to improve that ROI of your team's time, and looking at it. Oh, look at this. We've got our PowerPoints up. We're kind of talking about these trends that are right now. We're actually moved into our event style, and we're kind of moving into ROI a little bit. So it is the change of that event style, but it's also the change of the ROI of your donors that are there. They're giving you their most valuable asset, which is their time, and also we're making these opportunities for them to give in a very expedited amount of time, instead of making them sit there on a Friday or a Saturday or Sunday night for 6 hours, or to be at this giant gala. So it's changed. In this photo right here, this is another trend of events that we're seeing, as well as moving away from the evening event to more of a breakfast, sometimes a brunch event. This one we're looking at here is for a NICU in Phoenix, and this was a brunch style event. And you look, there's about 600 people that were there, and this became that opportunity to get on the calendar of these guests that might not have had an evening that was available, but to come in on a brunch on a Tuesday, morning, there was these 600 people that came together to fundraise for this great group that they had. Demesio, let's move into our next slide there, if you could, please. We've got our producer, Demesio, who helps us with our all of our podcasts and all of our presentations, and he's doing a great job with us working on the fly today. So yes, trends, as you see this young lady here who's having the best time of her life, that's what we're really trying to create at these events. And this is one of the trends that we're seeing, creating more of an experiential opportunity, something that guests have never seen before. And that's what we're trying to create. So start to think about your event and think about some of the trends or some of these opportunities to create an experience beyond something that anybody else has seen before. The reason that's important is because you have to stand out against your competition. Now, it's not just nonprofits being your competition, it's also all of the other distractions or attention that is being captured by your donors and by your guests, and you have to compete with that. And people here post-pandemic, the last 2-3 years, have been very lenient with their attention and with their time, and testing out, coming back to events. They're excited to be back at an event, but they're not going to go back to that event if it's not good. They're not going to go back to that event if it was boring or kind of icky or kind of weird. They're going to go to the events that were fun. They're going to go to the events that are exciting. And if they are exciting and they are experiential and there's something that nobody else has ever seen, they are going to then tell their friends and be like, yo, I was at this gala. It was amazing. It was in their space. They had these great things. They were talking about mission. They were talking about, all the impact that they were making. Their fundraising was fun. Their fundraising was exciting. And I had a great time. You got to come with me next year. And it's that experience that you're really trying to create and make that moment that people are never going to forget. Again, we'll go back to the quote. People are going to forget what you say. They're going to forget what you did, but they're never going to forget how they make you feel. And if we can get your donors to feel that love that you have for them, but also they feel like they are making that connection to your mission, they are truly making an impact, and on those that you're serving, then they are going to feel that much better. And that's what's great about giving. I mean, there's no other feeling that's better in the world. Well, maybe one, but anyways, we're not going to go there. So it is really one of the best feelings in the world. So what we're doing is we're giving an opportunity for everyone in that room to feel good. When they feel good, they had a great experience. Again, they're going to tell their friends, they're going to come back, they're going to be that much more connected to you. Let's go to our next slide here, and we'll keep popping through this. Again, we kind of talked about the connection hour. Here's some excellent examples of how you can create some new experiences that are within your connection hour. Here in the top left, Boys and Girls Club. We love the cheerleaders as your guests are coming into the registration space. They're there to really celebrate and cheer on the donors that are there. And then you start to look through some of these other photos that are here. There's a lot of opportunities to showcase your mission and really talk about the impact that you have and put out that marketing messaging, which is so important, because a lot of times you go to these events and nobody knows what they're there for, or they've heard of this organization and like, okay, well, what do they do? Actually, a week ago, I was at an event. It was a local event in my community, and we've heard about this event for many years, and I've been wanting to attend. And I had the night off. I was like, okay, let's go. So I went to the event. I connected with the founder and said, you know what, hey, I'm going to come down. I'm going to do an event analysis, and I'm going to watch and see where these opportunities are at, where you can raise more money. And at the end of the night, I kind of looked at it, and I'm like, what do they do? How do they help the community? Like, yes, I know it's a great organization. They help people with autism and families that are working with that. And I didn't know what they did. And that's a big part of my report. It's like, okay, well, you definitely have to put the mission out there. You definitely have to put the impact that you're having out there. And that's such a key component. And a great way to do that is in your connection hour with your signage, with your messaging. Even upon registration, people are coming in, they're registering, and even some proactive gratitude. Like you'll see, there's the bid paddle with a thank you note handwritten by the CEO to some of the major donors and some of the major sponsors to really show that gratitude that's there. So looking at this connection hour of other ways that you can share your message much more effectively, you can keep that focus on what we're there to fundraise for, and really keep that mission focused. That's what we're really trying to create. Mission-centric fundraising, donor-centric fundraising, because of you. We all remember Sesame Street, them all talking about viewers like you. And that's what it is. It's viewers like you. It's donors like you. It's guests like you that impact this mission, that help us to change the world. And as you that are watching with us and interacting with us here today, it's you that are really changing the world. And by taking this step and working to evolve your events and looking outside the box and bringing in an experience that maybe many of your donors haven't seen, you're well ahead of the game. You are the ones that are pushing event fundraising forward. Here, let's go into our next slide now. As we're transitioning into that, one of the photos that you did see was registration. Everybody is using technology now. They're using professional registration teams. That's a key component. So make sure you are utilizing that. If you're using volunteers and the old Excel spreadsheet and handwriting, those days are done. There's so many opportunities out there to be able to use technology to expedite your registration, but then also expedite the dollars that are coming in. So get on the bandwagon. If you're not doing it, do it. You got to do it. All right, moving on. Now we're going to go into our program and our fundraising. And again, we're going to go back to experience very quickly and making sure that your guests are having a great time. They've got their paddles. They're ready to go. We have our little guy here in the middle with his thank you card. You can't say thank you enough. So incorporating that gratitude within your program, within your fundraising, utilizing professional fundraisers that have experience, that have the knowledge of and they know the psychology of how to fundraise within a large group like that, are able to capture that attention, are able to create that engagement and really bring that audience together. And as you'll see, we've got some photos of our best auctioneers that we've got. We've got Frankie Fletcher, who's supposed to be joining us today. I got his message. He had a kid that was sick, so he's got to stay home and play single dad today. So he's apologizes for not joining us today. We'll have him on a future webinar as well. Like we got Frankie, we've got Dusty there. You can obviously all a great energy that's there. And then in the top right corner there, my favorite auctioneer in the world. I'm a little biased. That is my wife, Erin Ward. But it's also, if Erin was on with us here today, she would talk about matching your fundraiser, matching your auctioneer to your event, matching them to your demographic, matching them to your mission. And there's many times that there are some groups that let's say, there's a women empowerment group, and it would feel kind of weird to have a male on stage to be fundraising for them. So that's where, there's so many great female auctioneers that are out there. There's some organizations that are serving people of color. There are some auctioneers that are auctioneers of color. We have quite a few that are on our team and are a bit more diverse instead of just having the white guys up on stage. We understand it, we see it, we want to help you try to find that right team member that's there, but you want to find the one that speaks your mission, that understands your unique impact that you're having on the world, and really represent that as well too. Now, I would love to say that I'm a perfect fit for every event. I'm not. I'd love to say that Dusty's a perfect fit for every event, but he's not, and that's okay, because there is a very diverse group of auctioneers that are out there in the world, and that's what we try to do here at Call to Auction, to make sure that we're matching the right fundraiser for you, the talent level, the skill level, the experience level, but then also within those diverse perspectives that we all have, and are able to bring a much more effective mission to that. So, program fundraising, looking at the fundraising elements that are there, we're seeing an evolution in the fundraising elements that are there. Now, Dusty, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So with the fundraising, now are we seeing, what are you seeing within the fundraising? Talking live auction, paddle raise, live, kind of that live program fundraising.
I had a couple of interesting clients this year that there were a few things. Paddle raise, I think, is something that if you're not utilizing it or utilizing it effective, I think it is like the biggest return possible for the amount of time and effort and everything if you do it right. So I think that's key, number one. I had a few clients that they didn't want to do the paddle race. It was something that they didn't do before. And I know it was like, these two clients, they were maybe smaller, they're not huge. But there's 300 people in the room for one, another 250 in the room for the other, and I said, hey, let's really let's do this. We can try, and I'm the guy that will be doing it, so nobody that likes it, that blame it on me. But let's try. And one client, they usually use a couple of different ways to get their scholarship fund funded, and it's just part of their program. So this was something I said, hey, let's have the money go to the scholarship fund. Well, we ended up in that room. They said, well, we want to start low. We want to start really low. We don't want to, we don't want people to. I said, okay, that's fine, but can I fish for a little higher? And so we fished for a little higher, and we actually had 3 people at the highest level give, boom, right away, and then dropped down to the lower and so on. So that was great. The one thing that I saw that a client was doing, they were doing a paddle raise of sorts, but we came in and we changed the way that they were doing it. We changed the positioning the way they were doing it. We changed some of the messaging before. We inserted what the benefits were throughout the levels of giving. And then all of a sudden, they went from, they 4 times their paddle race this year, which was incredible. And so, doing things the correct way or a different way, maybe just saying it that way, can drastically improve your success. And if you're afraid to do a paddle raise, but I'd say absolutely 100%, hands down, do it. Maybe start a little lower, test the waters, see what happens. I would say, and I will say 1 to live auction items is really make sure that the live auction items not only match the event to have that kind of branding that goes on there, but also, I think more importantly, to have it match the people that are going to be coming to the event, have it match something that they would want to buy. And I think that sometimes gets a little missed, especially if something's donated and it might seem cool, but then, it's something that nobody at the event is really interested in. So that's something to really, I think, watch. And I had a few of those experiences where I'll just throw it out there what it was. It was glamping. For me, I know I'll go glamping. That's great. But it didn't resonate as well with a couple of the audiences that we had. I think, and we had other items that were being sold that really did resonate, with that. So, it wasn't the fact that they didn't want to give. It was just the fact that the item that was being presented, they didn't want to buy.
Yeah, and that happens so many different, times. Like this fashion show we had last night. We were working with the founder to identify some items that the audience might be interested in, but there was one item that nobody wanted, and that's okay. It's all right. We were able to move on. We didn't let it affect our fundraising momentum, but it just wasn't the right item. So the way that you find those out is like actually have those conversations with your board members, have those conversations with your major donors, and find out what type of stuff that they'd like to experience. The hottest auction items that we're seeing are definitely still chef experiences, local chef experiences, whether the chef comes to your house or you go to the chef's restaurant. And then there's that culinary and food and drink experience that's there. That's still number one. We are seeing some opportunities where the leadership and the board or donors have unique access to whether it's a celebrity, a sports star, maybe a business leader, maybe a politician, something like that, and then creating an experience with that individual kind of behind the scenes. Maybe it's a lunch, maybe it's a dinner, maybe it's a ride in their helicopter. I don't know, but finding those different opportunities that your major donors really like. And here's a question that we get all the time. Everybody's like, let's talk about consignment travel. Let's talk about these great vendors that are out there and they've got all these different trips and all of these different things. Well, what we're seeing as the event world is now continuing to evolve, that we are able to bring some once in a lifetime opportunities that you couldn't find really anywhere else. There's a trip to Santorini that we sold last night. Beautiful 7 days in the Greek Isles with that beautiful blue water, those beautiful villas that are there, the food, the people, all of that's there. Now, if you were to go through your leadership and ask, does anybody have a villa in Greece? And most people don't, but there are a lot of people that would go to Greece. And this is where you can be strategic about using that consignment travel within your live auction. Now, you don't need 10 items. You don't need 5 items, maybe 3 items, maybe 1 consignment item, maybe 1 chef experience, and then maybe 1 mission-focused experience, which is a great opportunity as well. But using this consignment travel as an opportunity for you to raise more money, because most of your donors are going to have a couple different budgets. They're going to have their philanthropy budget, which is 10% of what their income is, which we would hope that they would be giving. And then they have their travel budget, whatever that travel budget is. They're going to take a vacation. It might be someplace local. It might be someplace international. They've got a bucket list. Maybe they've already been to Italy, or they've already been to Napa, or they've already been to Hawaii, but they want something else. Santorini. That sounds like a great place for us to go. And when you can combine those 2 budgets, the travel budget and the philanthropy budget together, now you're tapping into a much bigger wallet now, because they're going to spend the money on travel anyways. Why not give them a good excuse to be able to give and then get something great in return? One other benefit of utilizing this consignment travel is the opportunity for what we call multi-sales. Multi-sales is, let's say you have 3 or 4 or 10 or 15 bidders that are on a particular item, and you meet that profit threshold that you're trying to get to, and you're making a good profit amount. And you know what? There's still 5, 6, 7 people that want to purchase this item, you can say sold, 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 sold. Create that that Oprah moment, and then you keep maximizing your profit over and over and over. And that's another benefit that I love by working with our consignment vendors. If you need any recommendations or introductions, we have some vetted vendors that we love to work with. We're going to be having a webinar coming up here in 2025 with some of those vendors talking about the things that they have and the trends that they're seeing within that. So stay tuned to that. Actually, I've got a question. My wonderful wife is supporting us here today and had a great question about the demographics of donors. Now, here we are post-election, or the different type of groups that we're seeing to be able to increase their fundraising post-election. Now, we've been able to work with a few different groups. We were up in the Northeast working with a community center that was it was the Equality Community Center, and it was a place, it was a space for everyone to be able to come together and feel safe. It was a place to come and with this rapidly changing political world that we have now, no matter which way you lean, left or right, that we're looking for places to be able to be safe. We're looking for those places to find our community. So we're seeing a lot of increase in fundraising in those types of organizations. But then if you go to the flip side of that, there's also those that are, again, looking for that community. They're looking for those like-minded individuals to be able to push forward their own ideals within that, their own legacy that they want to leave, and through the organizations that they are connected to. And that's really what we're doing with fundraising. It's not our job to make people care about your mission. What our job is to be able to create an opportunity that will attract those donors that have that connection with you, to be able to attract those individuals that have your mission already in their heart. They might not know exactly what your mission is, but they know, like, this is a group that I want to help. This is something that aligns with my internal morals, with my internal compass, and I want to work with them. I want to invest within them, because again, that's helping me to leave my legacy through that. So there are groups that are increasing their fundraising, and there's groups that we're working with that are significantly increasing their fundraising, because we're doing all of these different trends that are within this. All right, Demesio, let's go to our next slide, and we'll keep going there. I'm going to have Aaron on one of our future webinars to really speak on that and creating more inclusive and combining events that are with that. So event styles, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier as we were working with our tech difficulties, or as we say, opportunities for success. And that's what we've created this. So let's go to the next slide here. So we talked about event style. We talked about the anti-gala. We talked about kind of the stand-up party where you have your connection hour, heavy appetizers, very short program, easy, quick fundraising, maybe one auction item, maybe no auction at all, and it's just a straight paddle raise, an opportunity for everybody to come together. And then the anti-gala, where it's totally different than what you would expect. A lot of times we're looking at so many different themes that are out there that can be mission focused. Now, one of the organizations that we love to work with, Aaron is the lead consultant on that, the lead auctioneer on that, and it's talking about the Roaring 20s. Well, what was the Roaring 20s? I mean, we've all been having these 2020 events, and it's all about the Roaring 20s and the opulence and the luxury and and all of that beautiful, bright, sparkly stuff that was going on. But there's a whole nother side of the 1920s that was there. There was, it was at the start of the Great Depression. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of different things that were going on in that world. So including those elements and kind of flipping the script on that particular, time and space and theme to really, showcase, look, we're helping those that are experiencing homelessness. We're helping those that are experiencing food insecurity. And this is what it was like. There's the food line, there's the soup line, there's a very, very basic, setup at the tables, and that does showcase the mission that this organization is helping with. And it's like, here, let's help, bring our mission here into the next century, and step away from what was to where what can be. So looking at a gala as a different opportunity than just the bright lights and the and the beautiful centerpieces and the high end food and and all of that. It's like, what are some elements that we can put in there to make it not feel so gala-ish or make it more mission centric. Now, experiential, we tapped on this just a little bit earlier, and that's a big place where we're seeing the growth within this, especially in New York City. There's so many organizations. How rude! Don't they know I'm doing a webinar in here? So many organizations that are creating these experiences that are within that. Dusty, while they're drilling, I'm gonna let you take it away on some of these experiences. What I'm thinking about is our health group that you were working with the golf cart, or excuse me, the grocery cart. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. This organization, they put together carts of food, and in order to showcase that experience for what it is, and it's shocking the amount of food that they can give. And they give this on a weekly basis or an as needed basis through their food program. And what is great about it is we were able to bring one of those shopping carts in full of food, what would be what somebody would be getting, and during that level that we wanted in the paddle raise, we brought that up on stage and we said, this is going, your dollars today are going to fund, and it was 10 of these carts. And, the amount of response to that was fantastic.
Perfect. That was
perfect. Are they done drilling?
We're in the middle of a break. So let's go to the next slide where we've got this opportunity here. So again, but this is making those experiences happen, showcasing that. Some of the fun ideas that we're seeing within events. Let's go to the next slide here, please. There's so many ways that you can surprise and delight your donors, and that's a big component that we really like to create, is that surprise and delight in the event all the way through that. What is a surprise that you can put in the pre-program, as people are coming into the connection hour, like we talked about the cheerleaders, the boys and girls that are already out there cheering and hooting and hollering. One of the things that I was able to see within one of the connection hours was the transition from that space into the next space. And what I loved is there was, like, you'll see the little girl up on the right hip corner there with the sign. They had signs that said, "The time is now," and move into the ballroom, and they're having the kids and the students walking around with these signs, and it moved everyone that much faster because that was what we needed to do. And I know that many of you experienced that as well too, that it's like, oh my gosh, how do we get people to the ballroom? Well, that's one way to do it. We work with some groups that have a fantastic they've got a drum line where they've got the drummers going boom, 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 and they're bringing them into the ballroom that way. And that's a big surprise that many donors and guests, haven't been able to see. And then in the program, what are some ways that you can surprise people? What are some ways that you can create that energy that's in there? There's some opportunities that you have to be able to just give right away. Give your guests something right away, whether it's a token of something, whether it's a gift at their table. I love to play a game or to do like a door prize, or just give something away at the beginning to give it to one person in the audience, because now that's going to just really set you apart than everywhere else. It's like, we've got this giant TV. Yeah, you could put that giant TV in the silent auction, but everybody has a TV. But what you could do is just give it away to one of the guests that are out there, or maybe you've got a QR code up on the screen, and people have to go in and answer a question, or there's a poll or something like that, and then you just gift the attendees with one of these prizes. Whether it's a barbecue grill or a TV or a gift certificate or something like that, and just giving it away, or all of those gift certificates that you had that would go into the silent auction. You could just say, first paddle up, you get this gift card, you get the gift card, you get the gift card, and you're not asking for money to begin with, but you're making everybody feel good. And it's like truly a gift. So many times when you're giving, you are going to get. And there's a saying that I love to use, when you give more than you get more than you give. So this is a chance that you can do that. Sure, you could sell that $50 Amazon gift card in your silent auction for $25, but what if you just gave it to somebody? And they're like, oh, I get a $50 gift card. That's great. And then now you come into the paddle race component at the end of the night. They're like, oh, they gave me something. I definitely want to give something back. There's actually a very interesting study that was shown why you get bread at a restaurant. I don't know, Dusty, if you've ever heard this before, but there's a reason for that. Because when you get bread and butter at a restaurant, you take a bite, your blood sugar spikes, the serotonin is released, and you're happy. You're like, oh, this is great. And I want to keep that feeling going. And that's the same thing as being able to give up front, surprising, delighting your guests early on, because then that reciprocation will come back after that. And then there's opportunities, again, like I say, within the fundraising, but then beyond the fundraising. Now, Dusty, there was a chance that you were able to work with a group where they did surprise and delight their guests right there after the fundraising. Let's just share a little bit about that.
I think that there's some great surprise and delight areas. The one that I thought was really, really fun this year was the cheer team. I thought that was a really fun surprise and delight. When somebody buys something, then all of a sudden the cheer team goes over, and this happened to be for a school, but I think you could incorporate it for other things too. But people went over, and once they bought something, it was like yay, and the pom poms were all around, and everybody taking pictures, and I mean that was like such a cool thing, and it made people really want to be more engaged, I thought, and it was just fun, and so creating that fun with that surprise and delight. Another one that's really great is the note under the chairs. I think that's a really neat thing. All of a sudden, you've been sitting the last few hours, and then somebody says, we have a thank you note for you. Reach underneath your chair and grab that note, or there's something for you under your chair. Reach under that and grab that note. That is a really good surprise and delight. I really like that one. And I think like one of my all-time favorites is confetti. I love confetti.
That's right. Who doesn't love a confetti cannon? I actually had a memory pop up from one of my, Facebook memories from a few years ago when we were working with an organization. They did a Christmas tree auction, and they were trying to find a way to liven up the audience. And they brought in 4 cases of confetti cannons, and we blew every one of those off. And there was probably about a half-inch of confetti all over the ballroom.
I love it.
The venue was not quite happy, but our client paid the cleaning fee. It's $500. It was well worth it. So again, looking at these ways that you can surprise and delight. A couple other things as your guests are leaving, post-program, post-fundraising, we're seeing a lot of different, kind of candy carts. We're seeing some churro carts. I love the churro carts. But ways to kind of say thank you as people are leaving. Again, leaving that lasting impression. Hot chocolate and cookies. In the bottom right corner, you'll see the window hanger. Maybe you have the valets put in a message there. They put in fresh cookies. They put in a note from someone, or they put this hanger up there that says, "I'm a hero for XYZ organization." So finding these ways, how can you surprise and delight your donors and create that experience that they can't find anywhere else? Let's go to our next slide here. I know we've only got a few more minutes of our webinar here. If you've got any questions or anything, definitely throw those out to us. We'll make sure that we're going to try to answer them. Okay, Erin, again. I'm going to go back to her question here again, talking about organizations that are seeing an increase. Mental health is a space where we're seeing a big increase. On the day of the election, there's an organization called the Trevor Project that saw a 700% increase in donations the day after the election because of the particular mission that they had in helping mental health and preventing death by suicide. So that's a perfect example of looking at a opportunity or situation that had happened that might not have been as desirable as you wish, but there's ways that can be spin it that actually can be a benefit for you. So some of these strategies. So let's go to our next slide real quick. Talking about gratitude strategies, building your gratitude strategy leading into the event. This is stuff that you can do beforehand. There's groups that are putting together impact report and truly implementing their fundraising event strategy. Now, there many times you had just 6 words of death. This is the way we've always done it, and you have to throw that away. That's done. So it's like look at this event strategically, and when you can do this event strategically, you can really create some great opportunities and relationships beyond the event. So looking at this event as a larger development opportunity. So let's go to the strategies here at the event. There's connection hour. We've talked about that. We've talked about the program after party. That post connection hour is such a huge thing. That's a lot of feedback that we're getting from our donors. Is that they want to keep that networking. They want to keep that connection going. And what a great way at the event to be strategic after the fundraising has happened. Now, if you've got a development team and you're part of that team and you're being very strategic and being very selective of who you're saying thank you to or who you're really trying to bring into the fold or really develop that relationship with, you can do that. You've got paddles that are going up. You can spot those people. You can, I hate to say target, but you can. And at the end of the night, really get up, thank him again profusely for them giving and being a part of this, and really strengthening that relationship. Fundraising isn't about dollars. Fundraising is really about relationships. So if you can be strategic all the way through, you're going to build more relationships. The more relationships you're going to build, the more donors you're going to have. The more donors you have, the more dollars you're going to raise. Now, one trend that I forgot to mention earlier is donor attrition. Donor attrition is real. The statistic is 1.7 years as a donor is going to be with you. And if they don't feel the love in that 1.7 years, they're out of there. They're like, we're going to find another organization. We're going to go to another event and we're out. And when you see that donor attrition happen, I mean, it happens. It's going to happen no matter what. How do you refill your donor list with new donors that are in there? You always have to be looking for new donors. And the fundraising event is a great way to do that and look at ways that you can bring in new donors, but also, again, like I said, strengthening the relationships within that. All right, let's go to our next slide here. All right, post-event. This is the big thing. The events happen. We're moving on. This is where we're able to cultivate. Actually, Dusty and I had developed a full gratitude checklist. I would love to give that away as a gift to all of you that are attending. So we'll make sure we send that out for 24 hours, 48 hours, 30 days, 60 days. What are these strategic opportunities that you have? You have the cultivation time. You have that opportunity for stewardship. Bringing that donor into that next rung of the fundraising ladder and keeping that conversation going. Now, your event is not the end point for your fundraising. Your event is actually the starting point for your fundraising, but it also could be the midpoint of your fundraising, celebrating what has happened over the year, but then also showing the need that you have for that year. And by utilizing these gratitude strategies beyond the event and being, again, strategic fundraising beyond the event, this is how you're going to increase your fundraising at your bottom line by using these post-event gratitude opportunities. All right, let's go to our next slide there. All right. Oh, my slides were backwards. So within, we're rewinding a little bit, but within that 1 to 24 hours, 48 hours, there's so many different things that you can do to keep that buzz alive. Calls from the board of directors, calls from leadership, text messages, emails, videos, social media videos, all of those things to keep that buzz alive. That's a big thing. Getting photos, make sure you have a professional photographer, getting those photos turned around and get those out to your guests as quick as possible, because now you can utilize that social media juju. Everybody loves getting dressed up. They love going out. They love looking good, and they love sharing good looking pictures of themselves to say, hey, look, this is me in good light and with a good photographer. And, we look great, but this is us supporting this organization. So getting that out there, creating videos, reels, a very short synopsis of the event, a great way to recognize your sponsors is huge. And that's like a whole nother conversation that we're going to have in 2025, talking about sponsorship relationship development and how to maximize that fundraising element. But that's a great way you can showcase them and their relationship with you as well too. Put their logos, put their links, tag them in the social media, show them that extra love, surprise and delight again, and it's going to, it's going to be able to grow on. All right, let's go to the next slide here. I think we've got just a couple more moments here within some questions that are out there. Now, Dusty, the question that I get all the time, and we're seeing it more and more, Dusty, do we have to have a live auction?
No, you don't. But I would.
But you're an auctioneer.
I know.
We don't have to have.
I know. I know. Yeah. But no, you don't. And that's. And it is interesting, but I would say, what is it doing for you? Before killing it, what is it doing for you? Does it provide the energy? Does it provide something that people like? I think that about silent auction stuff too. Is that is the amount of time worth the return? Maybe not, but what is it doing for the room? Is there creating any kind of additional excitement? Is it creating, anything even in the community that the, business owners can give something and they feel that they're a part of the organization or something? I think that about everything, but absolutely not. You don't have to do silent auction. You don't have to do live auction, but I would say, you do have to do. I think you would have to do a paddle race. That's
paddle race, 100%. Making the big ask, is such a huge element. Our co-presenting sponsor here, Inspire Hearts Fundraising, is an organization that my wife and I were founded in 2018, and we're the only firm that is in the country that's talking with organizations about paddle race only events. Now, if you are interested in having that conversation, please reach out to us. We can make that introduction to Inspire Hearts, and we can have that conversation about that paddle race only opportunity or that style of gala if that's something that you wish. But I'm going to come back on the other side of that, Dusty. Now, for those that are looking to create more energy, that are looking to create more engagement, they're looking to create an experience that's really exciting at your event, looking at your auction piece. Like, again, we talked about this, mission-focused items, donor-focused items, experiential items, hot items that everybody in the room really, really wants to create. Your live auction can really be a piece of that, but it's also creating a bit more production-focused live auction as well, too. Now, gone are the days of having the cattle auctioneer or the free auctioneer or the weather guy or whatever coming up on stage and saying, we're just going to do the auction, and it's kind of boring and it just disconnects everybody in the room. But when you're utilizing the audio elements that you have, incorporating sound, incorporating music, we're diving really deep into the use of different music frequencies and how that affects individuals. So incorporating those audio things, but then also visual, utilizing the video screens in your PowerPoint to showcase impact, to showcase your mission, to showcase your volunteers in action. Using that video, using that B-roll is such a huge component as you're going between the auction items or going between your different levels in your paddle race. Using video to market the auction items. People are expecting this. They're seeing these opportunities coming up. They want to have them on the screens. They got to see them. They want to feel like they're there. So yes, if you're going to do an auction and we can help you to design that and create that, yes. All right, let's go to the next slide here. We're right here at 12 o'clock. I want to make sure that we're respectful of your time. If there's any questions that we missed, please email them to us. Reach out. We're here to help you. And maybe you have a question that many other people have, and we want to make sure that we get that answered. So first off, I want to thank you all so much for joining us here on this Monday, a couple weeks before Christmas, investing the time in here and really looking to make your 2025 event as best as possible. Dusty, any final words?
Thank you all so much. And, we will send out that gratitude, that gratitude piece that we put together. I think that's a great thing, and coming into 2025 is something that you can implement, even just a couple of items out of there. It's a fantastic thing to be able to do. And thank you all so much for being with us today. It's absolutely fantastic. Thanks.
That's right. Excellent. Well, thank you again, everyone. Bobby D, Dusty Klink, and Frankie Fletcher in spirit being here with us. 2025 dates are booking up really quick, but our team is growing, so we're able to go out and be able to serve more individuals. So thank you that all you are doing in the world. Thank you for making that impact. Thank you for serving your mission. And remember, auction is action with you in it. And you can't spell community without unity. So let's come together. Let's keep making these events great. Let's be strategic. Let's create experiences that people are never going to forget and create an opportunity to continue to help more in the world. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us here today. Evolve your event in 2025. We're looking forward to be a part of that with you, and keep going out and being awesome. All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everyone, Bobby D here. Thank you to everyone that signed up for our webinar today, talking about event evolution, ideas and elements that we learned here in 2024. 2024 was a fun year. It was a great year. It was also a year of trying new things and seeing what works and what doesn't. And we identified a lot of those. But it's you that are out there that are making these great events happen. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. And thank you for taking a risk and trying something that you never tried before, because if we don't change, nothing's going to get better. Nothing's going to move. We're not going to raise more money. So let's make some changes together and let's keep pushing these events to a higher level. Let's evolve them. Let's make them better. And let's make sure that our donors are loving what you do through the events and creating experiences they're never going to forget, and make that connection to your impact. That's what it's all about. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you at the next one. Bye, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dusty Klink from Call to Auction. I just want to thank you all for joining us today. It's absolutely fantastic to talk about event evolutions of 2024 and what the exciting, fun things that we are looking forward to in 2025. I think it's going to be an amazing year, and we're really looking forward to it. If there's anything or any questions that you have from us, please feel free to reach out. Bobby and I are eager to help you out in any way we possibly can. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and thank you again so much for joining us today.